What's the best gift you've ever been given? Coming up next on the Cash Compound Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another great episode that is going to explore gift giving for you and your family. Jonah, question number one before we get into it, is it better to give or to receive?
Oh, man. I think, well, for a lot of years, I thought it was probably receive. I think as I get older, I'm switching the script. I'm switching my mind.
So why are you switching? Like, what is the catalyst for you heading a new direction?
I got kids now.
Okay.
I got kids now. And when you give them gifts that they really like, they go crazy. And it's very fun to watch them have a good old time with all the gifts that you can give them, or even it's little stuff. Right now, my kids are really little, so I'm switching it. And again, I'm saying while I was a kid receiving gifts, I love that, and so that's why I'm switching.
Okay, sounds good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about here is giving the gift of the infinite banking concept to your family. So as you know, what we do here on this channel, podcast, and video series, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, tweet, click, whatever. All those things in all those great places. We talk about how you can save your money and spend someone else's. We have a great presentation. We hope you see it soon. It's called the Save and Spend System. And what we're talking about specifically on this episode is talking about a gift of a lifetime. Jonah, before we get into the nuts and bolts, why did you, I believe you came up with the title for this, or maybe you stole it from something we had read or seen before. What's in a name? What's in a name today?
Well, really, it's about, a lot of people think about how they can give things to their children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, especially when it comes to like monetary value, and they go, man, I just wish that these people who are younger than me, a few generations or whatever it might be, would have more than I have by the time that they get to my age, right?
Right.
That's a very common thread that you hear a lot from a lot of different people. And so really what the idea here is that possible? Is it possible to gift someone something where it does do wonders like that to make their lifestyle and the monetary value that they might have access to, the opportunities that come along with that, better than what you had? Is it possible? And I think generally speaking, insurance is that gift.
It's weird that insurance of all things. I mean, we grew up obviously in the same household. There's a little bit of gap there, but it's not like we ever thought about this as being what we wanted from our folks. So here's my question. What is the best gift you ever received as a kid? And did it come from me?
I got a bike when I turned 10 years old.
That doesn't sound like something I gave you.
No, it was orange. I don't remember. I mean, Huffy. I don't know what it was. Orange bike I got when I was 10 years old. I remember that one because I really wanted a bike.
And you got it for your birthday or Christmas?
Got it for my birthday. And I also got it like a month or two late.
Oh, so I was out of the house by then.
We had just moved into our new house in a different town.
Yeah.
And so money was tight.
Yeah.
So the parents were like, yeah, we'll get you something, but you got to wait. And I knew it was a bike. They tell you or something. Oh, we're going to get you a bike, because we're late.
So we'll go ahead and tell you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one.
So I was grown by then. I was actually out of the house. So when you turned 10 for your birthday that summer, I would have been at summer camp working.
Probably.
So I don't particularly remember the joy across your face or up and down the street when you were zooming on your new bike. Yep. So here's the question I have for you as we move into how this concept of all the things you said, insurance and how it can be a gift. The question is, if you could go back to being 10, would you trade out what we're about to talk about for that bike? For the orange Huffy? Let's go.
10's a long time ago, for sure. I don't even have that bike anymore. I don't even know what happened to that bike. I absolutely would. So when you think of this whole life policy, banking type policy in terms of gift giving, you've got to understand, we've got to talk a little bit just about who you're allowed to give the gift to, right?
Oh, okay. Yep.
Right? We should just start there. It's like, can I give the gift? And if I give the gift to someone like you, if I were to gift this to you, does it work the same, right? Is it a little different if I give it to my
because
kids?
In the financial world, there are different things. There's gift estate tax. There's leaving your 401k to somebody. There's joint ownership in certain accounts and things like that.
Beneficiaries.
You've heard all these terms, ladies and gentlemen. So what do you mean? who and how can we gift this to people?
So the example that we're going to look at today is a parent gifting this policy to their child. But it goes without saying, you could also gift this to a grandchild. There's just certain parameters when it comes to an insurance type product on who you can purchase insurance on.
Right. So when you say gift it, like who is there's always a body. I think most people realize that. From time to time I get asked, can I put it on? I got asked, can I put it on an animal? We need a dumb question section. We can't make fun of these people out here to their face, but we can do it on the podcast. So,
can you put life insurance on an animal? No, you cannot. But there is something called pet insurance.
Yes.
It doesn't build cash value, but it will take care of veterinarian
right.
costs.
Okay, so can you put it on a business? Blah blah blah. So sometimes people are a little confused. Can this person own it, beneficiary, and insured? So when we're talking about gifting it to someone, first off, we are saying that the body, on this episode specifically, the body may not be you.
That's right.
The body is not you, the insured.
Now I'm going to pay for it.
Okay, right.
Right?
Yep.
Because I'm giving the gift. So I'll pay for it, but I'm going to actually insure someone else. That's part of the gift. That's what we're talking about here. So am I allowed to pay for an insurance policy that is a gift for the checkout person at the grocery store? And the answer there is no, you can't do that. They have something in the insurance term that's called insurable interest. And basically, the easiest way to understand this is it's if you would be impacted mentally, physically, emotionally by the passing of this person.
Yeah, so I think that insurable interest is kind of like our word of the week. So insurable interest, once again, ladies and gentlemen, Jonah brought it up so clearly. It's, do you take a financial hit? We're talking about insurance, the payout, the benefit is dollars, cash money. So do you take a financial hit if this person passes away?
Right. So you're not going to be able to get an insurance policy on the grocery clerk. The insurance company's just going to say no. It doesn't really matter how you put it. They're just going to tell you no. But if the grocery clerk is your son or daughter, then now you can.
Yeah.
You can get life insurance on the grocery clerk.
So I think most
right?
people understand this. Insurable interest is going to qualify in most cases on your children, grown or still in the house, your parents, potentially your siblings if you're grown as well, and your grandkids, right? Those family members, you guys get it. But it also extends to other people you financially are impacted by upon them passing. And that would be business partners, for instance. Okay, so some of you have heard of corporate-owned life insurance or keyman insurance. That means that, yes, you have insurable interest on people you work with because you'll take hits in that business. Also, if you own the business, key employees can also count.
That's right. So let's jump into our example today.
Let's do it. So who is it on? What's going on?
So what's going on in this example is the parent decided to purchase this gift, give this gift of an insurance policy designed for banking, cash value, designed for growth, on their 2-year-old. So they actually waited till they were 2 before they gave him this gift.
So is that the earliest?
These numbers are going to get a little crazy. As we get into it, you'll see why they probably should have done it, soon as they could instead of waiting 2 years. But no, that's not the earliest.
Okay, right.
So you can get a life insurance policy on a child as soon as the child has a social security number.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen,
As fast as
normally
you can
that's
go.
about 10 days, 2 weeks, so just right away, right? After grandma leaves and then you got the baby for yourself, boom, as soon as the gifts have come in, then you can get it. So all the way throughout life, starting on the beginning.
Now, again, it's really easy to understand when you talk about a child or a grandchild because obviously they're not paying for this.
Yeah, everybody
They're
gets it.
babies, right?
Right,
So-
everybody's heard of those Gerber policies
That's
back
right.
in the day. And
So
still
I
going on.
own,
Yeah.
I operate, I use, but I have insured my son or daughter, my grandchild, whatever's going on. So that's the example that we have here. Now, in this example, there's something really unique. The parent decided to fund this policy with $15,000 a year for 10 years only. So meaning a 2-year-old, they're paying 10 times, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way 10 times. That means the child's now 11, about to turn 12, and the parent has stopped paying. generally speaking, with an 11-year-old in the house, you're probably still working. You've still got active income. You're still doing things. But the parent decided, no, I want to be done paying for this policy after 10 years. If that's you, you can totally do that. But at the same time, you can continue paying, which, again, we'll touch on in just a second on why that is a absolutely huge benefit. And if you can continue, you might probably want to. But what's really important about this is the parent decided that the use of this policy was geared to pay for things that might happen in the child's life.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to our quote of this week. It is from Nelson Nash himself. The infinite banking concept is an exercise in imagination, reason, logic, and prophecy. So that's a quote from R. Nelson Nash himself, and you can get that quote and all of his great things inside of his seminar series as well as his book, Becoming Your Own Banker, the 5th edition. So Jonah, jump back into it. Why is that quote relevant to what you just said? You were about to tell us that they were going to be using this policy throughout this child's life. So
that's right.
Tell us about this imagination, reason, logic,
and prophecy. So just like you probably have heard from us on our channel before, the whole point and purpose of these policies is use. Instead of the traditional thinking that I'll get life insurance and that way I'll get some money if something happens to somebody, that's not the traditional thinking here, right? It's a little counterintuitive. We're buying life insurance to use it like right away. Now, in this particular example, we don't show them using it right away because, again, the whole point and purpose was to gift the insurance to the child, to use the insurance policy to fund the child's life. And so this parent decides to start using the policy around college time.
Okay, so we have to make sure, and of course we got supplemental materials for everybody to look at and see. But Jonah, so when they put in dollars, remind all of our newest folks out there, they're using money. What's going on? You just said they're going to use it at college time. How do you use it? What's going on here? Again, break it down.
When you've got a properly designed whole life insurance policy that's set up for cash use, cash flow, for banking, as we like to call it, while your dollars, so in this case, $15,000 each year for 10 straight years, that's $150,000 the parents put in. Again, not all at once, over 10 years, $15,000 a year. But while that money is still inside the policy, active, all there and growing, the insurance company also, that's a big word, at the same time, also, whatever you want to, two birds, one stone, whatever you want to call it here. At the same time, the insurance company gives you cash value that you can take out and spend and use. Cash value is just money. It's just dollars. It's just money you can take out and use. So the parents did not have to wait until the child was at college age before they started using this policy at all. They could have used this policy for private school. They could have used this policy for the doctor's bills. They could have used this policy.
An orange bike at 10 years old.
Orange bike at 10 years old. There it is. They could have used this policy for the first car. They could have used this policy for a bunch of stuff, but they decided to use it for the very first time to fund college.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do here is help you understand another Milton Friedman type quote here, the seen versus the unseen. Everybody can read an illustration, Jonah. But what we're talking about and what you're about to identify here and some of the things that you've pulled out as possibilities throughout this person's whole life is not stuff you illustrate from the company. The company doesn't know what you're going to use it for. But now that there are dollars, Jonah, tell us, are there opportunities and what are they?
You can do literally anything you want. So this parent decided to pay for school. Now at the time that the child was going to school, so they're 18 now, not 2. They're 18,
okay.
Had the policy for 16 years at that point, right?
Okay.
That also means they have not paid into this policy for the last 6 years because they only paid $15,000 10 times and stopped paying.
Okay.
They haven't even paid for this thing in 6 years. Can you imagine?
So the policy's still with us. So some folks need a reminder. The kid is not dead, okay?
That's
so
right.
The policy didn't stop. It continued to be growing. There's guarantees there. There are dividends if you're using a mutual company. So the policy is fine. It's intact, even though you're not putting money in anymore.
We got to give a shout out to the parents really quick. Can you imagine paying attention and remembering that there's over $200,000 in cash in something you haven't paid for 6 years?
Let's go.
You just gotta keep that note on your phone or something. Put that on the fridge. If I haven't paid for it in 6 years, I'm probably like, oh yeah, you know what I mean?
Sure, right, right.
But anyway,
Okay.
at time of college, 18 years old, they haven't paid for this thing in 6 years. They only paid 10 times way back when. They got this thing when their son or daughter was 2. They've got over $220,000 available to be used to pay for school.
Wow.
So here's what's fun about that. With $220,000 plus, where's your child going to school?
Look, we're not going to IOU.
I mean, it really,
Right.
wherever you want to go, right?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't really.
And another thing to help folks understand is cash value is controlled completely by you. So if you borrow against your policy to use these dollars, and if you want to go to college, great. It's unlike a 529 in terms of it can be used for other things.
Yeah.
But college just happens
So if they
to
didn't
be
want to go to
the
school
thing.
and wanted to do trade school or something cool, if they were like, no, I'm not doing school
Start a
at all, I
business.
want to go start a business, cool. They're like, nope, I want to go be a flight attendant, cool. I want to buy my own plane because I
Right.
want to fly the plane, cool.
You got to have a gap year or 2 or 3 if
Yeah.
you got money like this, right?
I should go to
So
Europe
anything.
for a while, right?
Anything.
Whatever.
Okay, yeah.
So $200,000 plus dollars. So they paid for school all 4 years. Very, very easy to understand. We got $220 plus $1,000. My daughter or son wants to go to school. They got 4 years to go. School's paid, right? School's paid. Here's the best part. While school's being paid, the policy's still growing. It didn't stop because this is the first time you started to use money.
And that's important to help understand why, Jonah. Why is this thing still able to grow even though we have pulled cash dollars, paid for them at school? Real money has been exchanged, but why is the policy still growing?
It's that 150,000, that 15,000 a year for 10 years, way back when you paid it. That money's still inside the policy. It's still active. It's still growing. It's still earning. It's still
Right.
being paid dividends and interest on that. That's what's happening. So because I spent the insurance company's money to pay for my daughters to go to school or son to go to school, that doesn't have anything to do with my 150,000 that I put in there all those years ago.
Very important
Right.
to understand. That's why we show in the 3-cup setup videos you'll see all around our channels that the cash value is being pulled, used from the insurance company. Your dollars are still safe and
So this is crazy. He graduates school at 21 years old, 4
Okay.
years later.
Yep.
18, 19, 20, 21.
Yep.
Graduate school. 5 years go by. 5 years go by. So that means your son or daughter is now 26.
Okay.
And they want to be married. And they come
Okay.
knocking and they say, "Can you help?" Right? That's
Right.
how it normally works. If you've got girls, if you've got
So
boys,
maybe this
it
is a
still might
daughter.
happen.
So we just went, maybe now it's a daughter.
It
'Cause
still
are
might
you
happen
paying
for boys.
Are you paying for your sons?
If I got maybe, you know what I mean?
very good. All right.
Maybe if
Okay.
he act right. You
Okay,
know?
very good.
But anyway, 26 now. Guess what? We're back up over $220,000.
Love it.
Isn't that crazy? We're back. We used $80,000+ to
for
go to school.
Yes.
5 years go by. Now it's time to get married. We're back.
And we back. Yeah, at the same amount, but approximately. If you'll see
Right.
you'll see the example.
If you're watching, you'll see the figures, but we're
Okay.
approximately back.
So-
So wedding costs, maybe you just pay for the whole thing, all 30 grand.
30 grand. Is that
That's
a good
a-
wedding number?
I'm pretty sure.
I didn't pay 30.
I didn't pay 30. But,
Okay, but this is in the future.
But hey, if you're gonna pay 30, invite me. It sounds
let's
like
go.
we're gonna have some candy
Right.
bar, mashed potato.
Let's do
you know what I
this.
mean? We're gonna have all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
So ready to go. Okay. Let's keep moving. You ready for this?
All right.
5 years go by, paid for the wedding.
All right.
And now they're ready to buy a new house. And again, it doesn't have to be 5 years. It could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. It doesn't matter. But now your married child is
Okay.
wanting to pay for a house. But guess what? You purchased this gift, paid for such a long time ago. Imagine your child's like 30 years old now.
Right.
So you haven't paid for this in 20 years. You stopped putting money in a long time ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at 30, they're like, oh, we're looking to buy a house. The housing market's crazy. The housing market's great. It doesn't matter what's going on. And they go, any chance, remember that you paid for a few things in our life because you bought that, you bought that gift. So any chance you got some
come
money?
around, right.
And you're like, sure, $40,000. Here's what's great. So they're 30 years old in our example now.
Okay.
We were up over $250,000 this time when they asked for a little bit of money for the
Wow.
house.
Okay, so we used 30 last round.
We use 80 to go to
Yep.
school. We use 30 for the wedding.
Wedding.
We're about to give them 40 to pay for their whole down payment.
But they're still up higher than
And
they've
we're
ever
still,
been.
we were at
250.
220, we're at 220, now we're at
Yes.
250, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Okay, so here's the question. Once again, I've got to ask. I mean, your kids, I'm very familiar with these people. Are you buying them houses?
Maybe.
Okay.
Now, assuming in real life here, assuming when my children are 30 years old, they'll have their own policies that they've been owning and managing for a long time.
And if they're not acting right, because we've taught them this, obviously they should have been subscribed to our channel infants, then I ain't giving them nothing.
Well, I'm saying use your own policy because I'll use this for the
I'm
vacation
not using
house.
Anything if they ain't acting right.
Sure.
I'm saying you should have policies.
I'm saying use your own policy. I'll use this $40,000 for the vacation house, and we'll all go to that house for Christmas.
Okay, the down payment's on the vacation. That's what I needed to know.
Yeah, in real life, but I mean, you can do anything you want. That's part of infinite or private. I can do anything I want.
Love it.
Okay, so we're gonna keep moving. So let's say they're married now and they're doing their own thing for a while, right? They're married, leave and cleave, right? So they're doing their own thing for a while, but then they have kids. And in part of having kids, those kids grow up. And so these are now your grandkids, and they're like, time to go to school again, right? Time to go to, doesn't matter, private school, high school, charter school, college, it's time to go to school again. And guess what? Well, we have money.
We have money in the family banking system for that.
So you could pay for it if you like to. Maybe they got more than one kid, so you're not doing one tuition this time. You're doing 2 tuitions or 3 or 4 or whatever it is. By the time the kids are at school, so again, this is your child's like 45, 46. They've been married for a while. Maybe the kids are 15, 16, 17, 18, whatever it might be, right? Maybe they're going to college early because they had all this money, so they had all this opportunity, so they're really smart because they went to all, right?
The seen versus the unseen.
That's it.
When we've got dollars to be able to be deployed for things like that, there's no way to act. You have to use your imagination.
That's right. Okay, cool. So now it's time for the kids to go to school. Maybe school's a little more expensive this time. So last time we used like $20,000 to put your kid through school, but maybe this time it's up to $30,000 a year, right? It went up. But we've got the ability. So we were up over $500,000 this time when it was time for the grandkids to go to school.
$500,000, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. Use your imagination.
Again, we only put in $150,000, $15,000 a year.
35
years ago.
35 years ago. It's amazing.
So that's what's going on. So then we send the kids to school. We send the grandkids to school. So maybe 2 at a time, 1 at a time, whatever. We spend a bunch of money sending the kids to school. So in our example, if you're watching on YouTube, we're going to spend about $240,000 to send the kids to school. The grandkids. I keep saying that.
Yeah.
The grandkids.
We have a couple of grandkids here that we factored in for. Just an illustrated imagination for you.
That's right.
But it's over $200,000 that grandma or grandpa, you, the person we're talking to so far, was able to help out with or pay for.
That's right. Okay, let's keep moving. So maybe now you're getting old. You're old, right? Because your kid's getting old. So maybe now it's time for your kid to hang it up. They've been working. They've been raising kids. You've helped a lot. More than the average person would, I would say.
Or could.
Wedding, house, college, kids, grandkids college. You've helped a lot. Maybe you've used some of the money. Maybe you haven't. So whatever you want to do. But now you're old. And even if you were to pass away, the policy is still active. But in this case, we don't have you passing away.
Okay.
But it's just time for your child to now retire. Maybe they hit 65. Whether you're here or not, policy's still active because they're still here, right?
Right.
We've got them on our example that you can see online, taking a full, what do you call it? A full-time retirement income. I was going to say salary, but I was like, they have no job. They're getting it from the policy. They're getting it from that gift.
My job is to get this money.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I'd be good at that. They're taking a full-time retirement income of around $60,000 every single year from the time they're 65 all the way until they're 90 years old that we've illustrated.
Hold on, $60,000 each and every year is available. It doesn't run out.
Doesn't
what
run
you're
out.
saying, right?
You know how it doesn't run out? Look at the number right next to it. By the time your child's 90 years old, how much cash value is left?
In our example here, while they're pulling dollars from cash value in the borrowing stage, cup 2, green cup, they got $1,093,000 left. $1,093,000 left after they pulled now 60 every year from 65 to 90, 25 years, yes?
1.4 that they pulled out, 1.4 million that they pulled out, and they've got over $1 million left that they didn't touch. So if they, 60,000 wasn't enough for them,
right?
An 80, 100, 120, whatever you want to do, keep in mind it's the gift you own and control. If you were to pass away, because you're super old now, you can give it to them to own and control. And generally speaking, they're not going to do anything different but use the money, which is what you were doing for them anyway. Who wouldn't, right?
Right. And the whole time, remember, it's going to give a death benefit off, which is astronomical numbers considering what most people would actually go out there and buy. You can see if you're looking online that $4.3 million is the illustrated value of the death benefit at the time of death if it occurs at 90 years old on your child. Now, we're not here to talk about the death benefit, but just think of what's going on, where it started and where it's been going while you've been using the dollars. Now, Jonah, so many folks are wondering about payback. We're not talking about that so far, but help us understand, like, does this show, is this talking about, are we taking dollars that we need to pay back?
So two things. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I said, one, this example shows the person paying $15,000 a year and then stopping after 10 years. Imagine what the numbers would be if you did it for 20 years, not 10. 15 years, not 10, right? 25 years, not 10.
Yeah.
The numbers would be bigger. Now, you can choose to stop. Sure, you can. But if you're still working and have income, keep in mind, they stopped paying when their child was 11 years old. When my child is 11 years old, there's bills happening, right? They got to go play on the travel team, and they got to do all this stuff, and I'm probably still actively making an income.
Right.
So therefore, I'd probably still actively be paying into the policy. Now, you don't have to, but you could, right? At the same time, you just asked a question about, well, we're taking lots of money out. In fact, we took out $1.8 million in total for college, the grandkids' college, the wedding, the house, the retirement. We took out $1.8 million in total, and we didn't pay anything of it back. Right. Imagine if you did pay it back. If you haven't seen our videos on what happens when you pay back these loans and how the values and the numbers get bigger, then should put a link above us so you can go watch that. It's crazy. Imagine if you would have done that. One of the reasons we don't show that is because people can't follow that super well. They just get lost.
Right.
And they're going, how?
But you'll be able to do this when you have your own policy. Remember, part of the secret sauce about what we do here at the Cash Compound and the Banking Bros is we walk you through this step by step, year by year, as you'd like to talk to us about your financial goals and what's coming up in your life. So if you would like to consider a gift of a lifetime for those around you and your family and your descendants, maybe you should watch and give us a ring. We'd love to talk to you soon about cracking the code to Cashflow. And if not, you can always buy your kids an orange bike.